Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you this morning with another 2019 mid-year top 10. So, again, every 3 months, I update my top 10s, release videos on every division from 122 all the way through heavyweight, which is 12 different divisions. Today, we're going to look at the 126-pound featherweight division. This is a pretty good division right now. A lot of good fighters here. No superstar names, but you know, pretty big names and guys that you know and like to watch. And you know, this division's getting more interesting. Not a lot of action, but it looks like a lot of big fights coming up. So let's jump right into it. We're gonna start with the guys that are out of the top 10. We have two guys that dropped out from the end of March to the end of June here. First is Abner Mares, former multi-division champion. He previously was number 6 in this weight class. The reason he's dropping out is it's been over 1 year now since he fought and lost to Leo Santa Cruz, and he has not fought. He doesn't have his next fight signed. Some positive news is that he was cleared in the last couple months to get back to training. After the detached retina he suffered in training prior to when he was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis in February. He says he's willing to face Gary Russell Jr. later in the year, like in December. If Gary Russell doesn't get the Leo Santa Cruz fight, why not? Mares is a big name, and Russell would come in probably a big favorite into that fight, and I think he should definitely do it. So, yeah, so Mares, you know, he's dropping out for now, but we'll see if he gets back in, and hopefully he comes back for the end of the year. Also dropping out is former 122-pound champ Scott Quigg. He previously was number 7. He has made it official that he's moving up to 130. His last fight in November was at 130, but I still was, thought that maybe he was contemplating coming back to 126 or not. And his last fight was supposed to be at 130, but he got injured and pulled out. But he has made it official that he's going to be at 130 pounds. I think Quigg, I'll get to him when we get to the 130-pound top 10 because, that's where he's ranked now. But, yeah, I think he's got opportunities, going forward at 130. So that's it for the two guys that have dropped out of the top 10. Now we're going to look at the top 10 and how it looks heading into the third quarter of the year. And that is starting at number 10. We got a two-way tie for 10th now. Now, first up is former 122-pound champion Jesse Magdaleno. He was not ranked in my top 10 at 126, even though he fought at the end of March in this weight class. A couple guys dropping out is what put him right there. Magdaleno is supposed to come back August 10th on ESPN. It'll be his second fight in this weight class at featherweight. It's probably going to be a stay busy opponent. It looks like he's fighting on a Carl Frampton undercard. After that, though, I think Magdaleno's going to be ready for anything. I think he'll be an option for Josh Warrington, the IBF champion. I think possibly even Shakur Stevenson, Oscar Valdez. I mean, he's got a lot of options. He's not looked at as a guy that's, going to be that guy to surprise you. So that might work in his favor for to get a big fight. Guys might be overlooking him a little bit, and I want him to get a bigger fight before the end of the year after his fight in August. I think he probably will, so we'll see what he does going forward. They haven't announced his opponent for August yet, but that's Magdaleno. Tied with him for 10th is the undefeated Shakur Stevenson. This guy is talented as fuck. If you have not seen him fight, you're missing out. He's 2-0 already this year. He's got one knockout. That was back in January. But he got his career best win so far in April on the Terrence Crawford Amir Khan pay-per-view undercard. He took on Christopher Diaz, former world title challenger at 130, and he absolutely dominated Diaz in this fight. There was a shutdown 12-round unanimous decision. Really impressive performance. Now he's going to be main eventing a July 13th card. His opponent has not been confirmed as of yet. Either way, he should win that fight. But to be honest, I think Stevenson has a big fight brewing before the end of the year. I think Bob Arum wants to get him in with somebody good. I think Josh Warrington, I'm calling it right now. I think he's going to get a title shot against Josh Warrington later in the year. His highest ranking is currently number 3 by the WBA, which that title is Leo Santa Cruz or even Shu Kan, the Chinese champion, the regular champion. I could see Stevenson getting one of those guys in the ring. I don't think Santa Cruz is going to want to face him, though. I think Kan might want to face him, but I don't think Santa Cruz wants anything to do with a guy like Stevenson right now. But yeah, Stevenson, in my opinion, is going to get a big fight for the end of the year, and he's very talented. He's very good. July 13th, ESPN. You'll be seeing him next. Okay, next at number 9. He moves up one spot from number 10. He's a former WBA regular champion, Jesus Rojas. Rojas returned from his loss, upset, controversial decision loss to Shu Kan when he lost the title in January. He returned in May, got a 4th-round TKO victory over some nobody, and is just pushing forward, trying to get back in the mix. I would love to see him and Kan rematch, because that first fight, really, most people thought he won, but either way, that fight was really close, and it really didn't get scored that way. So, tough break for him. But, yeah, Rojas, very talented guy, and, would love to see him fight again sometime soon. And, again, I hope it's against a top 10 opponent. Next at number 8, moving up one spot from number 9, is the WBA regular champion, Shu Kan. This guy returned in May and made the first defense of his title after beating Rojas in January. He took on former 122-pound champion Shun Kubo of Japan, and he kicked his ass. He knocked him out in only the 6th round, and retained his title. So good performance there. He's looking good. He's looking hungry and strong as the world champion. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next. I think a fight with Rojas will be fun. I think Shakur Stevenson, I think this guy's, his options are completely open. And I'm just hoping he steps up and defends his title against a top 10 guy next. Next at number 7, moving up one spot from number 8, is Tug Nayambayar. He's the WBC's number 1 contender. He desperately wants to get Gary Russell in the ring. He's waiting around to see what the WBC decides on Gary Russell, because Russell's been so inactive over the last few years. I think they should mandate this fight to happen, because Tug is a good fighter. He's a PBC fighter. Russell has no excuse except for Tug not being a huge name for him to want to face him. He's undefeated, and I hope they decide soon on either an interim title fight or a legitimate world title fight with Gary Russell, because he deserves it. Next at number 6 is former world title challenger Kid Galahad. I say former, but it just happened on June 15th. He was undefeated. He went in against Josh Warrington, and he fought his ass off. He took Warrington to the limit. It ended up being a split decision win for Warrington, but it was a close, hard-fought, competitive fight. And now, he's coming out of it with a loss, but he's broken into the top 10 with that. He's new to the top 10, so good, strong performance. That's going to lead, hopefully, to bigger things later in the year. And hopefully he gets another crack against a top 10 guy, because he's obviously worthy of that, and he's ready for that, because he's a very good fighter. Way to perform against the number 2 guy in the division. Next and still number 5 is the undefeated WBO champion, Oscar Valdez. Valdez returned for his 2nd time this year on June 8th, took on undefeated but little-known Jason Sanchez. Scored a knockdown, got a one-sided 12-round decision. No surprise there. The talks right now is that Valdez and Carl Frampton are on a collision course. As long as Frampton gets through his fight in August, that they'll fight before the end of the year. So we'll see. I really hope that's the case. If not, Valdez has a lot of good options. A unification with Josh Warrington would be awesome. Jesse Magdaleno, Shakur Stevenson. Top Rank is really on the rise at 126, and Valdez needs to look at that. Next at number 4 is former 2-division champion Carl Frampton. He's returning August 10th on ESPN Plus. It'll be his first fight since he lost to Warrington last December. This is supposed to be just a comebacker, get a quick win, and then he's talking about a title shot against Oscar Valdez. I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be the case before the end of the year. As long as he gets through August with flying colors, and I don't think they'll put him in against an opponent that should risk it. So hopefully we hear who the opponent is soon, and August 10th, ESPN Plus is where Carl Frampton will be next. Next at number 3, is the reigning WBC champion Gary Russell Jr. He returned May 18th on a Showtime card, took on former 122-pound champ Kiko Martinez, but Martinez was faded, and even in his prime wasn't anything to really worry about for top-end fighters like Russell. and Russell whipped his ass. I mean, it ended up ending on a cut in the 5th round, cut that was caused by a punch, I believe. They stopped the fight, and, you know, Gary Russell, no surprise with that win. He's calling out Leo Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz doesn't seem to want to fight him. Russell's getting, you know, shit for not fighting. I think he's got a couple good options. Abner Matis has said he would fight him before the end of the year. And Tugnai and Bayar, why not come back and face your mandatory if you want to stay champion? This guy's legit. He's a PBC guy. If you're truly the best, make a mandatory, fight twice. We'll see what happens. I hope Gary Russell gets something decent before the end of the year. Next, and still number 2, is the undefeated IBF champion, Josh Warrington. Well, he had a scare against his mandatory number 1 challenger, Kid Galahad, on June 15th. It was a really good fight. Galahad brought it. They went toe-to-toe. Warrington walked out of there with a tough split decision and retained his title. Still champion. What does he do going forward? Again, I really think a fight with Shakur Stevenson is probably going to happen for the end of the year. But Warrington also has other options like Jesse Magdaleno. You know, I think a unification with Oscar Valdez would be huge, but I don't think they're going in that direction. But he still does have some good options, so we'll see. And then finally, still number 1 is the WBA super champion, Leo Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, no news on what he's doing next. He still hasn't announced anything. I'm hoping we hear something soon. He hasn't fought since February. He said he wants to fight 3 times this year. Haven't heard anything. So I'm really hoping we hear something soon. I hope he's going to grow a pair and fight Gary Russell, finally try to unify belts, or even face off against undefeated Josh Warrington, who's been calling him out. But we'll see what happens. That's it, guys, for the 126-pound mid-year top 10. I hope you enjoyed this. True Boxing, been hit with the truth.